South from AfricaCom 2023. I'm here together with Richard Smith, Managing Director at EKT, Pierre Hunter, Senior VP Sales at EasyDRM, Alex Beach, Head of Media and Broadcast Market Development at S3 Engineering. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Hello.
Richard, Skyflow. Can you tell us a bit more about Skyflow? What's new? What's part of it?
Yeah. So Skyflow is a consortium of 5 like-minded companies who believe in a new technology called DVB NIP, where NIP stands for Native IP. And what these 5 companies have done, which 3 of them are represented here, is we decided that in order to sell the technology, we needed to demonstrate it. So we got together and we put together an end-to-end demo solution, and our marketing name is Skyflow. And the objective was to be able to demonstrate effectively this new technology, and Skyflow has actually done some enhancements around that as well to make it more attractive.
All right, thank you. So what problem actually is Skyflow solving? Where does it help, especially if you look at such a diverse and more differentiated African market?
Yeah, so good question. So the reality is that if you look at multicast video technology, it hasn't actually changed for the last 40, 50 years. So multicast being broadcast from one to many, and a satellite, a good example of a large deployment of multicast technology. If you look back at the 70s when multicast satellite first started, actually it hasn't changed very much since then. So we've gone from analog to digital, we've gone from SD to HD to 4K, but actually it's still about broadcasting to a single television in the living room, right? Now, the problem with that is it hasn't kept up with today's viewing trends. So people want to watch multiple content, different devices, when they, at different times, right? And currently, multicast technology doesn't do that very well. So the effect has been that those traditional multicast operators, such as a DTH operator, haven't been able to keep up with the viewing trends and are therefore losing market share. So how does this new technology, DVB NIP, address that problem? So if we go back just a little bit of technology here, multicast is a transport stream secured often by a DVB CAS, for example. The problem is mobile devices don't like transport streams with DVB CAS, right? They don't handle it very well and they can't handle DVB CAS, right? They like a unicast or HLS or DASH with a DRM. The problem is we can't transmit unicast over satellite until now. So what DVB NIP is we're taking unicast channels, so content that can be viewed on mobiles, right? We're putting a jacket on it to make it look like multicast, transferring it over traditional multicast networks such as a satellite, and then it arrives at our set-top box where we remove the jacket, exposing the unicast channels. And what that means is then, in addition to your main screen TV, you can then stream to any mobile device within the network. So that's the core change. And what Skyflow's done is do an end-to-end demonstration of that technology, now enhanced with DRM, which Pierre will talk about, all the way to the mobile devices to demonstrate to operators what they can do. So we've got linear content, we've added push VOD to, you could call it OTT over satellite now, right? The satellite companies, so Eutelsat, for example, SES, the operators love it because it makes them relevant again in today's viewing world. So that's what Skyflow is in summary.
So that means, if I can summarize it, it's actually a real life sample how you actually can solve certain issues when it comes to TV. How can I get a signal to rural, semi-rural areas? How I can help communities to really leverage from it?
Within the limitations of multicast, we've essentially enhanced what was traditionally possible to something much more interesting and viable. So in addition to the obvious DTH operators, which we can address and they can have a more compelling product, we can address some other markets as well, such as hotspots. So anywhere where the Wi-Fi network can be enhanced now with video. We can enhance VSAT systems by using the downtime at night by pushing content when they're not being used. And we can address new markets such as education and mobile ships and things like this.
All right, thank you. Pierre, we hear a lot about private and public sector should partner together to help the continent to bridge digital divide. So with your solution, it's something more unique that big private sector companies coming together to solve the issues in the market and to bring proper solutions. What is your take on the security aspect of the Skyflow solution?
Look, first of all, for obtaining quality content, and secondly, for monetizing that content in which way you want to do that, you need to be able to ensure that that content is not illegally distributed. So you need some protection method. So that's where DRM comes in. Firstly, primarily to secure the content, to encrypt the content and decrypt the content, but secondly, also allowing the operator the ability to apply business rules, how the content can be used, when it can be used, who can use it. And that applies to both in a pay-for model or even in a free-to-air model, where it gives the operator much more control, better control over its content.
All right, so would you say the solution you bring to place is a scalable solution? You can start small, always having the business model in mind, which is a big issue on the continent, especially from an affordability perspective?
Yes, with the Easy DRM service, it's infinitely scalable. So you can go from thousands of licenses or subscribers up to millions. So scalability is no issue.
All right, thank you. Alex, would you mind to explain a bit more about how the ecosystem works in this partnership?
Sure. So we have essentially what we've created is an end-to-end chain, right? Strategic partners along an entire value chain that takes media, whether that is live streaming video, whether that's file-based video. We can ingest it on one end and have it render out to the end customer, client, at the other end. So by combining, all of our technologies together, we're able to strategically take, whether that again file-based or a live stream of video, and we can then through ingest, through applying DRM, subscription metadata, management rules, DRM, like I said, DRM. We then encrypt, we modulate through our equipment, send it over the satellite link, we demodulate, de-encrypt, run it through over to the EKT box, which then serves as essentially the router for the content to the multiple devices in the home. Any IP-enabled device can be served at the end here. So, really what's amazing here and where we see a lot of growth areas here, especially as we are at AfricaCom, we see education as a big opportunity for us to kind of help offset a lot of the lack of connectivity, right? This solution doesn't need connectivity, right? It is a self-enclosed ecosystem. You just need essentially the kind of a small dish modem and set-top box at the end to get the content out to, whether it is a schoolhouse, could be the home, but video and or flat content, which could be PDFs, ebooks, text files, JPEGs, what have you. This is where we see a lot of opportunity in this marketplace. So, it's really exciting to be able to work with the like-minded companies like Richard mentioned, that we have that shared vision where we can bring, what we think are vital services to people who really need it. And so that's why we're excited to partner together, excited to be here.
All right, thank you. Richard, you as a set-top box manufacturer, and you bring, an integral part to the solution, which is actually in the field. Can you describe a bit let's call it the digital hub you provide with your box?
Yeah. So the first thing to say is walking around this show, so we're at AFRICOM 24, there isn't much new, right? To be honest. But Skyflow is new. It's a new technology that really has the opportunity to revolutionize the multicast operator situation, right? And the reality is DTH operators are losing subscribers to the OTT services that are coming out. So we've looked at the ecosystem, and now we're talking about the set-top box. So again, with the set-top box, we had to look at what is it that addresses the real problem, right? So we actually have ended up with a range of set-top box solutions. I call it a set-top box because you understand that terminology, but actually the set-top box has become a gateway. So rather than just serving one TV, as we spoke about earlier, now we're able to stream to any device within the home or the office or the shopping center, whatever it may be. So actually, from a technology point of view, what we have inside the set-top box now is a Wi-Fi module and an Ethernet connector to connect to a hub, right? So we're receiving the content, we're doing all the smart software stuff on it, and we're enabling it then to be streamed either through the local Wi-Fi or through a existing Wi-Fi network. So
it's kind of a mini CDN.
Yeah, so essentially what we've done is we've pushed the CDN from the head end to the set-top box. So describing it as a mini CDN is absolutely accurate. Yeah, and we've got a range of products from low cost that will address the high volume DTH markets to very high spec that can address airline, supermarkets, all of those kind of higher use type scenarios.
All right. I would like to dig a bit deeper into the aspect of the business model and affordability. You're all big players in Africa, you have your experience here. So how ready is the solution for the challenges in the market when it comes to affordability and the business model? Can you give us a brief overview about that?
From an EasyDRM perspective, we adapt our business model based on the markets we operate in. So we definitely look at the market, we see what the markets can bear. Obviously, we all have to make a profit. We need to reinvest in our technologies and our business, but we have the ability and the flexibility to adapt our products to our particular markets.
All right. Richard, from your perspective.
Well, so Skyflow has already been deployed and is running today, and there are live transmissions on SES and Eutelsat. So from a technology point of view, it's ready for deployment. The DRM part was the final part because this now gives us the ability to offer it to the big DTH guys. So, it's here. It's more about education, I feel, and getting people to understand what the technology is and how it can benefit them.
All right. When we see the bandwidth, what is needed to, really cater this demand, can you explain a bit more how you solve that on site?
So Skyflow addresses two areas. So there's bandwidth optimization. So a good example would be a VSAT system where there's high data usage during certain peak periods of the day. And what we're able to do then is when the data usage is down, perhaps overnight, we're able to push content to the gateway set-top box where there would be a local storage device, which would then be ready for viewing the following day or the following week, right? So you're optimizing the bandwidth and the viewing patterns. The second thing is that Skyflow is a new technology, and we're able to then offer DVB-S2X, which is the optimization of the current modulation system. We're able to offer the latest encapsulation, which is GSE, which reduces the header on the content when it's transferred. And we're able to offer new formats such as AV1 and HEVC as standard because it's going to new devices essentially. So In a legacy situation, it would be quite common that a DTH legacy, that you would have perhaps MPEG-4, maybe even MPEG-2 set-top boxes, and the current bandwidth utilization is not very good. But you can't do much about it because your existing set-top boxes are what they are, right? So Skyflow comes along and is offering now a new, perhaps is marketed as a premium service or target for a new audience. But we're able to offer much lower bandwidth for the same number of channels, plus the additional features of pushing, file content VOD overnight when the bandwidth is down.
So that helps especially SEMA rural areas.
Exactly.
Interesting. So you mentioned before that you also work with SES Eutelsat. So this is ready to go, ready to deploy.
Ready to go. Live transmissions today. You can go and see it on the Eutelsat booth. So available and deployed already in a number of operators.
Okay. When you see OTT services and advertising, can you outline here a bit what opportunities and options, let's say, your clients have with the platform today?
Well, we have a very flexible approach because what we understood is that every operator we approach or new greenfield type project will have different requirements and different target markets. So we have within the head end and the software that we provide options for push advertising, for push content. So all kinds of different options and flexibility around what the operator may require.
So also helps him to create a return of invest through advertising.
Exactly. And in fact, we offer a SaaS model, from a financing flexibility point of view as well.
All right. Thank you. So, Pierre, what is the outlook for Africa and for Skyflow for the next 5 years?
I think as Richard said, this opens up a interesting new, I wouldn't say new segment, but a different segment for the operators, allowing them to reach bigger markets, more remote markets in a very effective way, and helping them generate more money and expand their platform. Also, helping them, as Richard also said, they're losing subscribers because of the inflexibility of the current technology. So with this additional flexibility, that helps them stay alive and flourish. Where we'll be in 5 years' time, it's anybody's guess, but I guess this will help the operators definitely.
All right, thank you, Richard. From your perspective,
we've gone through most of them, but if we look at Africa specifically, yes, there are a few DTH operators which we believe could benefit from that technology, but Africa's a very big continent and not well connected. In addition, cost of data is extremely high in Africa still, right? So there's a number of options, I think, where we can make some differences. So for example, as a parting thing, we could create a rural hotspot. So let's say a community doesn't have a good connection or it's very expensive and they have a Wi-Fi hotspot. We can add to that hotspot in a very cost-effective manner video content. So anyone in the community can then go and not just get your Wi-Fi fix, but you can download content as well, and just make everyone, doesn't have to be. It can be educational content. It can be entertainment content.
local content.
There's local content, right? So we've seen a lot of governments, not in Africa but in South America, which reflects quite similar situations, who have adopted this to get educational content out to communities which traditionally haven't benefited from quality lecturers and stuff. So you can now send in real time, lectures from universities to rural communities that wouldn't normally benefit from that kind of content.
Which is a very interesting point if you take into consideration that we're talking about an extremely young continent where 50% of the population is below 30 years old. And to bring then educational content, university content, directly to villages, communities is a big benefit, I think, where everyone would be happy about.
And multicast technology, particularly over satellite, is still an exceptionally cost-effective way. If you think that a satellite which has a single transponder has a power of a light bulb, it's 100 watts, right? Can cover an entire continent. It's exceptionally cost effective, still.
Sure, thank you. Alex, from your perspective, where do you see Skyflow and this initiative in 5 years from now?
At ST Engineering iDirect, we're very bullish on it. It fits into kind of a new strategy that we have as a company, which is, our DNA has historically been hardware modulation service, modulation hardware, right, and support for that. We think that this is a great opportunity for us to get into value-added services that mesh, that interact with our with our legacy business. And we see obviously Africa as a huge opportunity to do this, to bring those critical services that we already provide critical service for the broadcast market as it is, and connectivity. But this is kind of like this is part and parcel with that, but bringing kind of a service layer on top of that, an application layer on top of that. So we see a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth in the next number of years. I think for the African continent, we see e-learning across multiple demographics that could be professional training, as well as universities, as well as elementary school. We see it across all demographics, but we see that as a big growth area for the African continent, e-learning, and we're kind of pushing our chips in.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for the conversation. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thanks.
That was Tech Africa News from AfricaCom 2023. You can find more on techafricanews.com.